Hello, welcome to Alyssa live chat with wine. I am Alyssa Jean, the Cab Sav Queen, the classic one. I'll introduce my wine in a moment, but first I want to say you all in the chat, let me know if you have a hard time hearing me at all. So obviously I'm the wine cellar, and you would think in a wine cellar it would be cooler, but it's not. It's very hot here today. Summer just started here for us in the northern hemisphere, here in the United States. It's very hot, so I have to have the air conditioning on, or I will be too hot. And yeah, it's very loud. I did a test recording before I came on here, and it seemed to be fine. But let me know if it's a problem. The wine that I'm drinking, I think, might be the same one I did in March. I can't remember what I did in March. I could have just looked it up, but this is the Pacific Roots. I like it because it's cheap. It's got it's good for the price. It's good value. It's Cab Sav, and it's local Columbia Valley, and it has a very pretty bottle. So I like the pretty bottle, and I think I may or may not have done this last time. I don't remember. So that's what I'm doing. Hello to Maddie Jester. Incorrect with the Pinot Queen. I don't know if I've ever called myself the Pinot Queen because it doesn't rhyme. Alyssa Jean, the Cab Sav Queen. I guess it could be Alyssa Jean, the Pinot Queen, just as easily. But I don't know. Cab Sav Queen rolls off the tongue better. Hello, Will Farrell, number one. Hello, Maddie Jester. Will Farrell, number one. Jumping right in with the questions, which is fine since I don't have any particular direction for this week's stream. I mean, there's a couple things I could talk about, but I didn't have any must talk about topics. So I shall answer your question. David, do you like David Caruso? Who is that? Was that the dude from NYPD Blue in the 80s? I vaguely know who that is. So I can't really say that I like him or dislike him because I'm not sure who exactly he is. I think, wasn't that the guy who was in NYPD Blue or something? Yeah. Name sounds familiar, but I don't really know who that is. What else? So good to see you guys, Manny and Will Ferrell, number one. Unfortunately, Liz said she couldn't make it. It was her husband's 50th birthday. It was my 50th birthday about 3 weeks ago. So I understand 50th is the big deal. I think Brandon he's going to try to make it. And then Norman was probably not going to make it. So some of the usuals may not be here. Maybe it'll just be the two of you. I don't know. Manchester says, I am sad disco has ended, but all in all, the show has been really good for me. I am glad to hear that because the show has gotten crapped upon so many times over the years. People talking about how it sucks, it's not good, and blah, blah, blah. I've always thought it was fine. It was very up and down, a mixed bag. And overall, my feelings of it were positive. I think, my sibling Mark has said that he also found Discovery to be a mixed bag, but I think I'm a little higher on it than Marcus. Even I think it's a mixed bag, but overall, my feelings of it were positive, even before season 5, which bar none the best season of Discovery. Let's see. He was the redhead on NYPD Blue and CSI Miami. Yeah, those are shows that I do not watch. Those cop dramas or those like all those CSIs and NCIS and all that shit. I've never had the slightest bit of interest in any of that. Not my thing at all. Which explains why I don't really know who David Caruso is. Vaguely know who he is. I think he hosted Saturday Night Live in the 90s when I watched Saturday Night Live in the 90s, but that's about all I know about him. Yeah, so also Sad Disco is ending. Maddie said it's had its up and downs, but all Trek series have. Disco has been a net positive for the franchise for me. It gave us Strange New Worlds and Michelle Yeoh kicking butt. Have you ever seen The Cable Guy? Was that with Larry the Cable Guy, or was that the one with Jim Carrey? I don't know. Maybe I saw that one. I don't think so. I think I avoided those Jim Carrey 90s movies. Again, if that's indeed what it is. Yeah, no, I don't think I ever saw that one. Jim Carrey. Yeah. No, I don't think I ever saw that. Never found Jim Carrey to be all that funny. To be honest with you. Except when he was on In Living Color, I did like him. He fit in well on that show, but his movies, he gets a little bit over the top. I did actually for a little while like the first Ace Ventura movie, except for the problematic ending. And since, coming out and transitioning and becoming more aware of myself, like I can't condone that movie because of the ending is so problematic. So problematic. But that's the only one that I used to kind of like. All the other ones, he's just too over the top for me. Like, just calm down, man. Just settle down. And I don't mind him when he's done like more serious things, like when he did why am I blanking on the name of it? The Truman Show. The Truman Show. That was fine because he wasn't being all over the top in that movie. But anything where he's just being just way over the top. That's just never been my thing. Like, it's just like, calm down, dude. Like, just settle down. Like, what are you trying to compensate for with all this over the top craziness? Just be like a normal person. Like, I don't know. I guess some people found that funny. I never did. Although I did enjoy Ace Ventura back in the day, as Matty Jester says, it is aged like milk. Yeah. Yep. Not like a fine wine. It's like a milk. You guys aren't Star Wars people, right? I feel like I come on here and like nobody in the chat is ever really into Star Wars. I like Liar Liar, but haven't seen it in years. I think I tried watching that one and just this is too over the top. It's just Jim Carrey's too much. I can't deal. Yeah, I don't know. The Acolyte, for such a average show, it sure gets a lot of attention from all the racists and sexists, and then they will. I've out of curiosity followed some like Facebook threads of all of those those haters, and they will swear up and down, no, it has nothing to do with racism. Like I was reading the comments of this one article or whatever, and there's all this racist and sexist comments, and then one person was pointing it out how they're all racist and sexist, and then another person said, no, you're not even reading the comments. It has nothing to do with racism or sexism. Go read the comments and see what people are actually saying. And I'm like, I'm reading the comments. And they're very clearly racist and sexist. They didn't like it because the girl is black and she's a girl. And actually, that particular episode that they were complaining about was episode 3, which has lesbian witches, one of whom is black, and they create a baby with the Force. Black babies, by the way. They create black babies using the Force. I made a comment on my Facebook page that it's if the writers of the Acolytes say, how can we really trigger the right wing and like really piss them off? Like, let's think of all possible things. I guess they thought like making one of them trans was maybe a step too far. I don't know, but we'll just have lesbian witches creating a baby with the Force, creating black babies with the Force, and one of them is black. It's like watch the right wing like lose their fucking minds. I don't know. I was just kind of entertained by that, but I really shouldn't be because it's just hatred and bigotry and like yeah, it's over the top. And then the show gets criticized for the stupidest things too. Now, I also, for that particular episode, I also heard legitimate critiques of it, and that's fine. I thought the episode was fine. Like, I didn't have any issue with it. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but you know, it was fine. But I understand the genuine critiques of that episode. But then there was all the, oh my god, what have they done to my Star Wars? Like black lesbians making Force babies. They've ruined my Star Wars forever. I'm out. I'm never watching it again. I read those comments. I'd be like, okay, bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And while you're at it, shut the fuck up. If you don't want to watch it anymore, fine. Just stop watching it. If Star Wars has been ruined for you, but you'll have to go online and say, I'm never watching Star Wars ever again. Okay, good. Then we'll have to hear your bullshit anymore. God. But yeah, in this most latest episode, this isn't even the racist and sexist thing. This is like in my opinion, a like nitpicky, stupid critique. Star Wars fans are even worse than Star Trek fans, I think. Star Trek fans are pretty bad when it comes to like nitpicky critiques. I think Star Wars fans are worse. Like the dude, I forget his name, but the dude with the big cone head, he's like a cone head dude. He was in Phantom Menace and he had a gray beard in Phantom Menace, or white beard. And his one line in Phantom Menace, like I'm pretty sure it's the only line he has. It was like he said something along the lines of, "But the Sith have been extinct for millennia." And then Mace Windu goes, I do not think, I don't know why Samuel L. Jackson was talking like that. I do not think the Sith could have come back without us knowing. So that was his one line. And then he, a younger version, because I guess his species can live, this is 100 years earlier, but I guess his species are like Vulcans, they can live a long time. A younger version of him is in the show where they're encountering a Sith. We think it hasn't been confirmed that it's a Sith, and everybody's like, "That's against canon." I've seen all these articles like flooding my feed with like how they ruined canon and like how it makes no sense. And I'm like, no. He had the one line where he said the Sith were a myth or they were extinct, and here we are 100 years earlier where they're encountering the Sith. But he personally hasn't encountered them. He may never find out that it is a Sith. It's possible still that they're not actually Sith. It's also could be part of a cover-up. He could be covering. There's so many explanations as to why he had that line. Just because based on that one line, everybody's like, "Oh my god, they're destroying canon." Okay, wait. I guess it's just as bad as Star Trek. Star Trek fans get pretty bad with that too. I don't know. I feel like Star Wars fans might be a little bit worse. Like it's just like, chill out. It is not harming canon at all. Like there's so many different ways to interpret it. Like we don't even have all the facts on it yet. Yeah, Manny Jester. Didn't George Lucas create a baby with the Force in the Phantom Menace? Yes, and that is the perfect counter argument to all of the people who are freaking out. But George Lucas didn't have black lesbian witches create a Force baby. That's the difference here. Uh, but yeah, people are making a big deal about him creating the Force baby. I have heard the argument, and I don't know if this was from the racist crowd or not. I just read an article or saw a headline or something. I'm trying to make the case that it's different because in this case, the witches like use magic to deliberately create these Force babies. Whereas with Anakin, he was just created by the Force. Like no person went and manipulated the Force to create Anakin. The Force just did it on its own, which has never really been confirmed. We don't know that. We don't know that Darth Plagueis or some other, Sith Lord didn't intentionally create Anakin. We don't know that. But even if that was the case, who cares? There's still Force babies being created. It's not unprecedented. It's happened before, whether it was created by a person or by the Force itself. It still happened before. So people complaining about it and saying, they ruined my Star Wars. Just admit it. It's because black lesbian witches did it. I love that they have lesbian witches. That was great. Okay. Let's see. All right. What else do we have here? I saw Andor that was fun in parts, but I got bored of repeatedly going back to some guy eating cereal with his mother. Cut all that out, and I'd enjoy it more. I know. I still to this day hear every single fucking person on YouTube talk about how Andor is the gold standard for Star Wars and it's the greatest show ever made, and it's sucked. No, sucked is harsh. It was good. It was fine. But my biggest issue with it is just that way too much extraneous scenes, too many extraneous character. The guy, he was eating cereal with blue milk. This is the part you're leaving out. It was cereal had blue milk in it. Yeah, they kept cutting. They could have just cut that whole character out, the whole storyline out. And there were a lot of characters like that didn't need to exist. And it was a 12-episode season that I thought could have been 6 to 8 episodes. You could have condensed it so much. Will Ferrell, number 1, asked if I've seen Little Shop of Horrors from 1986. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yes, I did see it. I saw it probably several times in the 80s, but I don't think I've seen it since the 80s. I was just having a conversation with my friends recently because we were at a bar and they were showing Ghostbusters 2 on the TV. Ghostbusters 2. And we were talking about Rick Moranis and how he's not acting anymore. And although supposedly there's going to be a Spaceballs 2 now, I don't know if Rick Moranis is going to come back out of retirement to do it, or they're just going to get someone entirely. I don't know. Spaceballs was one of my all-time favorite comedies, certainly one of my all-time favorite parodies. But do we need to make a sequel like 30 years later or whatever? I don't think we do. I don't know. I will probably, if and when this movie is made and it comes out, I will probably wait for the reviews, especially from people whose opinions I trust. Before I waste my time, because that has the real potential to be a big flaming piece of shit. Are they going to get Rick Moranis back, though? That is the big question for me. And Mel Brooks, he's still alive? He would be like in his 90s now, wouldn't he? I'm going to look it up. He passed away, though, didn't he? Let me see. Mel Brooks. Let's see. No, still alive, age 97, almost 100 years old. Yeah, I don't think is he gonna appear as yogurt, a 97-year-old yogurt? May the Schwartz be with you. Yes, Matty Jester. I saw Search for Spock in 4K last week on the big screen for 40th anniversary. That was great. I've always enjoyed that movie. I saw Wrath of Khan on the IMAX about a month ago. And then I went home and immediately watched Search for Spock because, like, I felt I was left hanging. Like, I just feel like I can't watch Wrath of Khan and not immediately watch Search for Spock. Seeing Wrath of Khan at the IMAX was also incredible. I loved it. Then went home and although it really makes feel it was a weird thing because right as I was getting into the theater, my dad left me a message on my phone that my Aunt Mary passed away, and she's the one who got me into Star Trek. At least that's my memory as watching my first Star Trek episode with her. And the children shall lead, and that's the first Star Trek episode I watched, and her like kind of talking me through it and explaining to me about Star Trek and who all the characters were, so it was like really weird that I get that call for passing as I'm waiting in line to go see Star Trek 2. So it was a really emotional Star Trek 2 for me. Like I cried through the whole thing, especially the death scene. The death scene, and I was like, I was just emotional for the whole movie. And then when Kirk goes, of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human. Like, that never made any sense to me. That's the word you use for Spock. He would be insulted by that. Anyways. Yeah, so that was my experience with Star Trek 2, but it was pretty awesome. And then I went home and immediately watched Star Trek 3 because you have to watch them back to back. Yeah, I remember your review of Search for Spock when you fell out of your chair. I thought it was a blooper at first, but it was a gag. No, don't you remember when William Shatner falls out of his chair? He doesn't fall out of his chair, but he tries to sit in it and falls on the floor. Like that's what I was recreating the scene from Star Trek 3. It wasn't a blooper. I was recreating that. You, Klingon bastards! You kill my son. Yeah. One of the, I think one of the worst overacting scenes of all time. But I still like Star Trek 3 overall. It's fun. I love Christopher Lloyd in that movie. It's the first real Klingon, in the modern Klingon era. First Klingon antagonist in the modern era. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Give me Genesis. Oh, my other great overacting, although I really enjoy it, was the you can't see my foot, but I'm kicking. I have had enough of you. I always like that one, and we'll often quote it. Oh, hi, Norman. You said you may not be able to make it. I'm glad that you are here. Don't worry about being late. I'm glad that you made it at all. So good to see you. Cheers. For those just joining us, Norman, just joining us, Pacific Roots, Cab Sav, the Columbia River Valley. I think I may have done this last time too, but I don't remember. I could just look it up, but I'm too lazy. What else shall we talk about? Should we talk about House of Dragon? I don't know. Like I already talked to Mark and Darren about it. I don't know what else there is to say. The only other things that I would say are book spoilers. I'm not going to do that here. So, I thought it was really good. I talked about it with Mark and Darren on Monday, and I'm looking forward to episode 2. Though I'm a little fuzzy on what is going to happen over the next 2 episodes. I don't know. Having read the books, I mean, obviously, the next episode is going to be a lot of the follow up to Blood and Cheese. We've seen scenes in the trailer of Aegon being really pissed off and wanting revenge and all of this stuff. And it appears that Rhaenyra and Daemon are probably gonna get in a little tiff, a little fight there, because Rhaenyra's not gonna be super happy about it. This is probably soon when Daemon's gonna finally go off to Harrenhal. And that's not a spoiler. He keeps saying he's going to Harrenhal in the show. He said it like 3 times. I'm going to go to Harrenhal, and he doesn't. In the books, at this point, he's already been to Harrenhal. And in fact, in the book, he orchestrates Blood and Cheese from Harrenhal by sending a raven to. I almost called her Melisandre. What? No, I'm forgetting her name. The White Worm. that woman. Yeah, and that he sends a raven to her, and this time, yeah. So they changed things up a bit. But I don't think it's a spoiler to say he's eventually going to Harrenhal. I assume so. I mean, he said he was going to Harrenhal. So I think the show might play it like they get in a fight, and he's like, "All right, fine, I'm going to Harrenhal. See you later." And then episode 3, I don't know what's going to really happen. I made a prediction about episode 3 in my predictions video, which I won't divulge here in case you haven't read the book, and you shouldn't watch that video if you haven't read the book. This prediction of a major event I predicted would happen at the end of episode 3. I've now heard that it looks like it's likely episode 4 that major event is going to happen. The battle at Rook's Rest is what it is. That's not a spoiler. Yeah, so I don't know what really is going to happen in episode 3. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll cover the stuff with the Vale and Rhaena taking the 3 eggs there, and I don't know what they're going to do. Okay, let's go back in the chat and see what people are saying. Maddie Jester, have you seen the Fallout show? Is that your sort of thing? I mean, that's a video game, right? I don't know video games worth shit. I was curious by it, but I think it's on Prime, which I don't usually have. I get Prime occasionally. It's not one that I keep permanently. So maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. Did you like the TNG episode Power Play? It was fine. I always remember that being a very mediocre episode. I think it's coming up pretty soon. My brother's on Mark's reviews. Let's see. But Maddie, you have seen the House of the Quark. You should be fine. Oh wait. Maddie says, I can't see House of the Dragon yet, as I still haven't watched House of Gucci. I don't get the joke. That's what Norman says. You have seen House of Pork, so you should be fine. Let's see. Mark's review on Power Play is not officially released. Only to patrons if you want to bring that up. So say spoiler warnings. Oh, did he do it just for patrons? Yeah, I don't know. I know it's in season 5 somewhere, and I know he's in season 5. So I know Mark's in season 5. I can't keep track of which ones are for patrons and which one. And I'm not a patron because I don't know. I'm not going to pay my sibling money. Like if Mark wants to show me the videos, he can. Mark can show me the videos, but Yeah. What else? What else? Maddie Norman, Will Ferrell, #1. Oh, Brandon, where art thou? Where is Brandon? Glad to have you three here with me. What else shall we talk about? It is pretty hot where you are. I hear there's some sort of heat wave. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is really a heat wave or just summer. I don't know. It's summertime now. It gets hot. So maybe certain parts of the country are experiencing like what they call a heat wave. Here, I would just say, I don't know, it's summer, it gets hot. um, it's not like it's in the hundreds, Fahrenheit. We here in the States, we use the Fahrenheit. Over 100 Fahrenheit is very hot. I don't think it's in the hundreds. I think it's in the 90s. 82 degrees where I am. Granted, I'm in Southern California, not Northern. Wow, that's pretty mild for Southern California or anywhere in California this time of year. I think it's a little hotter than that. I haven't checked to see exactly what the temperature is, but I think it's probably upper 80s, low 90s. So yeah, so you guys are okay. You don't hear the air conditioner, because it seems pretty loud to me. But when like I said, I did a test recording before this, and it seemed fine. My dog Gina hides in the closet when I turn on the air conditioner. Poor girl, because it's very loud. But I'm sure it's cooler in the closet, so I'm sure she's fine. Yeah, I think the only two things I had in mind that I might talk about, I've already talked about. One was the Acolyte, and one was House of the Dragon. Well, Manny, as I said earlier, even in this wine cellar, it is hot. I said that at the beginning of my video. It is hot in my wine cellar. You would think it would be cool down here, but it's not. It's still hot. Programs are usually good, like Zoom, etc., are usually good at canceling out most background noises. I don't know. When I record a video in StreamYard, sometimes I use StreamYard to record my videos because it has a better green screen technology than, even though you can still see the green halo often, it's still better than the software I use. So sometimes I'll record with StreamYard. And if I'm doing my wash, which the washing machine is like right over there, or running the dryer, especially like I'll try to play back the video and I'm like, all I hear is the dryer. Same thing with the dishwasher. When the dishwasher is running, I try to record with that, and I'm like, all I hear is the dishwasher, and I have to stop to redo it and turn off the dishwasher. But the air conditioner, I don't really hear it as much on the recording. Did you ever watch the Andy Griffith Show? Yes, when I was a really little kid. When I was a little kid. Yeah, I remember that. Aunt B. Yeah, I remember that. Ron Howard when he was a little kid. Yep. Don Knotts, all that stuff. I'm sure I would find it to be absolutely unwatchable now. Yeah, those black and white TV shows. That was a different era. I think they're all unwatchable now, except for Twilight Zone. But even the Twilight Zone, it's dated, but some of some of the writing and storytelling is so good that you can tolerate how dated it is. Sometimes, but that's the only one. Otherwise, like I can't do black and white shows now. Although Andy Griffith ended in color, did it not? I think it started in black and white though, for sure. I think it ended up in color by the time it was done. I've only been to Florida in the U.S. in October, and I've never sweated so much in my life. Yeah, it's fucking humid. Where I am from and where Mark currently lives in Maryland, also very humid, but not even as humid as Florida is. Yes, like Bewitched, they moved from black and white to color. That's right, Bewitched did that as well. Yeah, I do recall. Just from reruns. Not because I was alive when it was on, but I watched reruns. You know, one of the shows that I did for whatever reason was never on reruns when I was a kid was the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and I was at a friend's house recently, and we watched a movie, and she was like, "You want to watch Mary Tyler Moore?" So we watched a little bit of Mary Tyler Moore episode, and they never had that in reruns for whatever reason. You know, they had all those other '60s and early '70s shows, but not that one. I wonder why. But you know, just watching it now just seems like a '70s sitcom. But some of the outfits are spectacular. Like Mary Tyler Moore is just wearing these spectacular like bell-bottom pants and like this matching top of this like all these crazy patterns and like nowadays like I would wear that to like a show or something like something like to really special or something, but like she's just hanging out in her apartment talking to Rhoda and just hanging out, and she's wearing this outfit that was just normal '70s outfits. Today, like you wear that, you're making a statement. Like back then, it's like, yeah, I was hanging out. I'm wearing these like crazy bell bottoms with matching top and like flowers and multiple colors and like I think it was spectacular. But anyways, I digress. Where were we in the chat? When I was a kid, I watched last season of Brady Bunch live as I was then old enough to stay up beyond 8 p.m. Yes, the Cousin Oliver season. Oh my god, the Cousin Oliver season. Anytime they bring in this other character on those shows, that's always when it goes downhill. Remember when then the Growing Pains when Mike Seaver went and got a Big Brother Little Sister program, and he got his little brother, and it was Leonardo DiCaprio. that show went downhill. Cousin Oliver downhill, and then at the end of Different Strokes, they brought in this kid Sam with a southern accent, and he also had although I think that was probably 2 or 3 seasons of that. Yeah, this white boy Sam who had a southern accent. And I think he had a catchphrase too, but I don't remember what it was. It didn't catch on as much as we talked about Willis. It didn't catch on as much as that. So yeah, anytime they bring in these new characters, these new younger characters, because the other characters are getting older, so they have to bring in another cute young character on it to try to revive it on these sitcoms. That's always how you know the show is toast. Cousin Oliver. I forgot about Cousin Oliver. Even the Cosby Show had a problem with. I think her name was Olivia, Denise's stepdaughter, before Denise was written off the show. Yeah, that's another example. Yep, they all did that. Like, oh, what used to be our cute kids have now gotten older, so now we got to bring in a new cute kid, and that's when you know the show's over. It's done. It's toast. Nobody cares anymore. So if you watch the Brady Bunch live, you're older than me because it was done by the time I was born. So, yeah, I was born. I am 50 now. I was born in 1974. So, yeah, Brady Bunch ended before that. I don't remember what year. 72, 73? I don't know. You're 57. Oh yeah, you're older. All these old fogies like my channel. Brandon's 10 years older than me. Old fogies. I'm kidding. I did see the Star Wars Holiday Special when it was live. And I don't think that, because I would have been like 4 when it came on, or 5. What was it, 78 or 79? 4 or 5, and I vaguely remembered it. And I thought it was cool because, the coolest part was when Han Solo and Chewbacca come in at the end, and that was the thing that stood out in my memory the most. All the rest of it I found like uninteresting. I'm like, what is even happening? Like, I was bored by. I didn't think it was like terrible when I was 4 years old. But my takeaway from it was that Han Solo and Chewbacca come in and save the day. I was like, oh, cool, they're from the other movie. Like that was, that was it. But I didn't really get the rest of it, and I did see it at a theater recently. I actually went on a date with this woman, and we went and watched. This is like 3 years ago now, 4 years ago. It was around Christmas time, and they were obviously, because it's the holiday special, they were showing it at a local theater, and we went and got super drunk before we went to this bar and got really drunk, and I was really drunk when I was watching it. It was hilarious. Hilarious. Okay. Norman says, thankfully, I didn't saw it many years later and couldn't get beyond like the first 10 minutes. LOL. Yeah, just get drunk and watch it. Although the version I saw was cut out, because then I watched the pitch meeting of it, and I noticed that there were scenes in the pitch meeting that weren't in the version that I saw at the theater, so they cut some things out of that version. Okay, sorry I'm late. Completely forgot this was tonight. Very busy. I'm working at summer camp. I'm in Scouts. I'm working in trading posts. Good to see you, Tyler. Wait, are you in? Like, I don't know how old anyone is. Like, I just asked Norman how old he was. He's 57. Well, I didn't ask him how old he was. I observed that he's older than me. So when you say you're in the Scouts, are you like young enough to be in the Scouts, or you're like a leader of the Scouts? Just out of curiosity. Will Ferrell, number 1. Who do you think is more over the top, Jim Carrey or Will Ferrell? Jim Carrey by 1,000 miles. Will Ferrell is very hit or miss for me. Sometimes I do actually, I do actually like Will Ferrell. Sometimes, other times, not so much. You want to talk about one of the most overrated movies of all time? Elf, not Alf, also overrated, but Elf. ELF, one of the most overrated movies of all time. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not because he's over the top. It's just because the movie is like not that good, and I don't like Christmas movies to begin with. But yeah, Jim Carrey's way more over the top than Will Ferrell is, like by a million miles. Someone gave me a DVD of the holiday special, and I can honestly say it is total ass. I don't just get really drunk, really high if you do that kind of thing, and just and watch it with a good friend and just laugh about it. I had a great time. But also really liked the girl I was dating at the time. It didn't last but a few months, but at that time, like I think it was our first date, and like I had a great time, and we got really drunk and watched the holiday special. It was so funny. Okay, Jim Carrey has good serious moments like The Truman Show and Man on the Moon, so I guess I'd select Will Ferrell myself. At the same time, yes, there was Ace Ventura. No, I think that his serious movies are a separate thing. When you're talking about Jim Carrey at his as most over the top, Ace Ventura, Liar Liar, The Mask. The Mask, I think, was the most over the top. Cable Guy, all those things. I don't think Will Ferrell even comes remotely close ever to being as over the top as that. So I'm not looking at it as let's do the average over the topness, including all the serious movies. I'm talking about when at their most over the top, when they get the worst, the highest over the top level. Who was more over the top? Jim Carrey. It's not even close. I mean, Will Ferrell is not that over the top. Yeah, so and Will Ferrell's been in some serious movies too, hasn't he? I feel like he has. Not anything worth mentioning, but I feel like he has. Oh, what did you say? 18? Sorry, my 50-year-old eyes couldn't read whether that said 18 or 16 at first, but 18. I'm not in regular scouts anymore. I'm still involved in Sea Scouts. I've been sailing a lot. Oh, cool. See, this is interesting. This is cool. Like, I have no idea. There's just names pop up on my screen and people making comments. I don't know anything about you. You have, oh, is that a Scout logo there next to your name? That would make sense. So it's interesting. Norman's 57, Tyler's 18. I don't know these things. Like it's just, it's very cool. Well, I'm glad to have a youngin who watches my channel because I've got mostly old fogies like Norman and Brandon. You know I'm kidding. 57 is not old. When I reach 57, I promise I will not feel old. Is Will Ferrell number one the real Will Ferrell? I feel bad if I only just realized was that. I actually have. I'm pretty sure the real Will Ferrell is not watching my channel. That is hilarious. Well, I just said that Will Ferrell is not as over the top as Jim Carrey, so I feel okay, even if it was the real Will Ferrell. David Arquette, what was he in again? I don't know. You always mention all these actors that I don't really know. Yeah, so Spaceballs. Yeah, Tyler, actually, earlier I mentioned how there's going to be a Spaceballs 2, evidently. And I don't really know how I feel about that. I mostly feel that they probably shouldn't do that, but maybe it'll be good. I don't know. And yes, I definitely saw Spaceballs back in the day. I don't remember if I went to see it with Mark. I mean, probably because we were. Yeah, I still would have lived at home with my parents and my family. So yeah, I probably went to see it with Mark. Yeah. I would assume so. Actually, I think I remember going to see it with. I think I was old enough to like go off on my own. I remember going to see with my other brother, my other sibling, and our friend Danny. That's what I remember. I don't know if Mark was there. So I don't know if the first time that I saw it was the same time that Mark saw it or not. I don't remember. But we definitely like watched it together on VHS and all that stuff on videotape. Like we definitely have seen it together. We saw it a gazillion times back in the day. Rather have Spaceballs 2 than a new Bad Boys. Yeah, but Bad Boys I never cared about. So they can make 10 Bad Boys and it's like 10 Fast and Furious. I don't pay any attention to it. They can make 20 of them. I don't care because I don't pay attention to it. I don't like it though when they do sequels of great movies and kind of ruin the movie a little bit. Not ruin, like the original Spaceballs will never be ruined, but like put a damper on it. Like now when like if Spaceballs 2 comes out and it sucks, then anytime I try to watch the original Spaceballs, I will think of Spaceballs 2. And so it puts a damper on it. So that to me is way worse than 20 Bad Boys movies that I've never seen a single second of it, and I could not possibly care less about any of that. They can make 50 of those movies, I won't care. But I don't want them ruining my favorite movies from my childhood. You see what I'm saying? Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Ready to Rumble, The Alarmist, See, Spot Run. Don't get any of that. Never seen any of the Scream movies. Beetlejuice also has a sequel coming out. Yes. Beetlejuice actually, the sequel is made and it's coming. Spaceballs is just theoretical. It's just like, hey, let's make this movie. So Spaceballs is probably several years away, whereas Beetlejuice, I think, coming out this year, maybe. I don't know. It's pretty soon. It's like it's a thing that's happening. Another one, I feel the same way. Like, although I never liked Beetlejuice as much as Spaceballs, I wouldn't put them in the same category for me. Um, Talk about over the top performance, like Michael Keaton in that movie, bit much. um, yeah, it's fine. Beetlejuice, I loved Beetlejuice when it first came out, but anytime I've watched it as an adult, I'm like, it's fine. So I don't really give a flying fuck about Beetlejuice 2. Honestly, I will not see it. Maybe I'll see it when it comes on streaming, just out of curiosity. But when I'm really, really bored one night and just get back drinking some wine or something. One of my fellow staff members who's also a troop was transgender and might recommend your channel since you make a lot of trans videos. Yeah, I mean, I don't make them anymore, but there's plenty that are already up there. Yeah, if that would be helpful for them, that would be great. Yeah, definitely recommend my previous trans videos. Did you see Grim Lloyds? That was Spaceballs, Star Wars parody, but a little Grim Lloyds? Like Gremlins? Never heard of that. Okay, in Spaceballs, a guy that yells, "We ain't found blank" as Tim Russ, who played Tuvok. Yes, that is true. That is true. Let's see, what else? The only true Star Wars spoof was, of course, Hardware Wars. May the Force be with you. I don't know what that is either. 7 seasons of Voyager, never did a Spaceballs sand joke. I'm still disappointed 20 years later. I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at there. Maybe it's the wine. When I think of sand jokes, I think of people making fun of Anakin talking about sand. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So Voyager and Spaceballs, how that all ties into that, it confuses me, makes my head hurt. So you'll have to explain it. What is your favorite Steve Martin role? Well, I'd have to think back because when I would watch Steve Martin movies would have been when I was younger. I don't think I've watched any Steve Martin movies recently. But the first movie that comes to my mind with Steve Martin is the classic Steve Martin and John Candy film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I haven't seen that one in several years either, so I don't know if I would still find it funny now. I don't know if 50-year-old Alyssa in 2024 would still find that movie funny because it's been a long time, but I do remember that being an all-time classic for me back in the day. And I still quote the line all the time when, remember the scene where they were going, "You're going the wrong way." How would they know where we're going? They're idiots. Okay, we're going the wrong way. They have no idea where we're going. When they're, of course, going the wrong way on the freeway and ran into this big truck. But I will still say that whenever I need to say the line or I need to tell someone they're going the wrong way, I always say it like, "You're going the wrong way." Anyways, that's what comes to mind when I think of Steve Martin. But I know that's not even his solo film. Like that was with John Candy. And there was more one. Steve Martin was also one who would be a little over the top back in the day, and that was, a little over the top in it. But I think it was one of his more reserved roles. I think it was kind of a more dramatic comedy. I would say, like it was a comedy, but there were serious parts to it. Where like something like The Jerk that he did in the 70s is just completely over the top. Never a huge fan of that film. I don't know. So what was the movie? Oh God, LA. Somebody, one of you guys will know this. LA. It took place in LA. Might have had LA in the title. And he was a weatherman, and he pre-recorded his videos and went sun, 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 and then the show cut to pouring down rain. L.A. Story. That's it. L.A. Story. Yeah, L.A. Story of Olamy. Olamy. Yeah, I remember Olamy. Yeah, I used to like that back in the day. Again, that's another one where I don't know if I would like it now, but I did like it back in the day. LA Story, yeah, that's the one. Where he was the weatherman, he was going, sun, 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 sun. They were just pre-record his weather reports because it's like it's LA. Of course it's gonna be sunny, and then it'll be pouring down rain. I think somebody got mad at them because they went golfing in the rain or something. I don't remember. It's been a long time. You're culturally deprived, Alyssa. Yes, Spaceballs is a big picture glitz, but Hardware Wars is low budget. Let's do parody. Back in 78, fun. The bad effects were hilarious. I don't think I'm culturally deprived. That just sounds like something I don't want to watch. Being honest with you. Sand joke is just a we ain't found shit line from Tim Russ. They could have had a gag of that during Basics 1 and 2. They are on a desert planet. Oh, okay. I get you. I wonder how many people would have gotten that reference. Probably a lot of people would have gotten that reference, actually. We are closing in on 1 hour of this live stream. Give me a topic. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about here. Final season of Lower Decks out this year. I'm very sad it's ending. Yeah. Is there still maybe some tiny hope that it can be saved, or is there no hope? I mean, I don't know. I just saw a quote from Mike McMahon recently where he said it doesn't feel like the last season. So that makes me wonder, did he make the final episode to be a finale, a series finale, or did he just leave it as it was and in the hopes that it can be picked up by another streaming service? Or because he would have made it by now, right? So I don't know. Well, there was the beginning of 37s, but it was not Tuvok that said the line where I guess they found someone that caught. Yeah, don't know what you're talking about. I hope Garrick comes bald for the final back. Is that what you meant to say? For the final season of Lower Decks, there's a lot of characters I would love to see in Lower Decks. Garrick would be one of them. I would love to see Garrick. But he didn't appear in the Deep Space Nine episode. No. Yeah, that's really sad that it's the final season. Maybe I'm haven't accepted that it's the final season yet, and still hoping that it can be saved. But hashtag save Lower Decks. But I am really curious if Mike McMahon made the final episode to be a series finale like they did with Discovery, or they can just did the normal thing and they're just kind of hoping that it gets saved. I don't know. Well, you guys are going to get me drunk because when you're not giving me topics, I just drink. Do you guys remember when Mark and I did a drinking game for Game of Thrones? Like, where we did a watch along on a Game of Thrones episode. I think we had Don Willie there. And there were certain things like lines that the characters would say that we had to drink anytime they said it. And I think we ended up watching 2 episodes. We'd only planned to watch 1, but we ended up watching 2, and we were just sloshed by the end of the second episode. I'd like Barash to come aboard as the newest Lower Decks myself in a holodeck themed Crisis Point 3 episode, of course. Maybe it's the wine. I'm blanking. Barash is, and you are, who is Barash? In the finale of Lower Decks, they will have all gray hair, filmed later, of course. Yeah, are they going to do like a Discovery-esque like scene they're going to throw in there with Captain Boimler? You know, I don't know. Or are they just going to throw it out there as it is? Barash is the insect boy alien who deceives Riker and Future Imperfect. Oh, see, I always think of him as, what shall I call you? Ethan? Jean-Luc! I always think of that character. Mark and I used to always make fun of how Jonathan Frakes over-exaggerates the accent, and then we over-exaggerate the accent that Jonathan Frakes over-exaggerated. So Mark and I would always say, what shall I call you? Ethan? Jean-Luc! Jean-Luc! Even though he didn't do it quite to that extreme. But he definitely lays it on a little thick when he says Jean-Luc. Yeah, another line. That line gets in my head anytime I meet or hear about anyone named Ethan. I will always think, what shall I call you? Ethan? Jean-Luc? Okay. But Barash is his name. Okay. Now that would be an interesting cameo in Lower Decks. Yeah, Lower Decks does like to pick out obscure characters like that, like one-off characters, and bring them in. So maybe. Let's see. How many seasons do you think Strange New Worlds will have? Well, if the pattern holds, 5. That seems to be the thing now. Season 5 is the new season 7. So will they decide to give Strange New Worlds more than they give the other shows? I don't know. Maddie Jester and Norman say the same thing. Maddie Jester says 5 is the new 7, sadly. Yes, it does appear that way. Oh, Prodigy. Anybody watching Prodigy? Another show I think was overrated in season 1. However, I did think it had a lot of potential for season 2. The trailer looks good. It looks like they're going to do some timey-wimey stuff. They even actually have a character, Dal even says the term timey-wimey in the trailer. And there's going to, Janeway, and we're going to get a Chakotay cameo. That's all cool. I think it could be, and the Doctor's in it, which is cool. Some of the gags look very, childish and cartoonish, which it is a kid's show. So, you're going to get that. But I think my biggest complaint about the upcoming Prodigy is that they appear to be dropping all 20 episodes at once, whereas I assumed they would do 10 and 10 because it's Netflix, so they do like to drop all the episodes at once, but there are 20. So I assumed they would do 10 and then like a month or two later do the other 10. Netflix has done that before. They did it with Stranger Things last year or a couple years ago, whatever the latest season was of Stranger Things. They have done that with shows, drop half the season at once and then the second half of the season later. And I assumed they would do that with Prodigy, but apparently they're doing 20 episodes in one go, which I think is too much. So that's my biggest complaint so far. Haven't watched them yet. July 1st, pretty soon, coming up pretty soon. Probably take me a while to get through all 20 episodes. Let's see. I think they did that because of what happened in France. Why didn't they release them sooner? Because of that goof. I do not know, except the Walt Disney's ended. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they. I don't think what happened in France should affect how they release it on Netflix. I think they probably were always planning to do it in 20. I don't know. Let's see. Only hope for I'm going back now because I think I missed one. Only hope for LD and Prodigy is they could return to Futurama animated series, not worried about actors aging, etc. Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's no confirmation that there's going to be a Prodigy season 3. I guess maybe they're going to wait and see the reaction of season 2. I don't know. Certainly doesn't seem like they've done anything towards making it. So, do you all know that it looks really likely that the only Star Trek we're getting in 2025 is Strange New World Season 3? Because all the hubbub is that Starfleet Academy will be 2026. I don't quite understand why that is. Because supposedly they're going to start filming this summer. So if they're going to start filming this summer, I don't know. I can't remember if they've already started or if they're going to start soon. Why would it take them to 2026 to release it? Like, I feel like at the very least it could be out by the end of 2025. Like, I don't know. That seems a bit much to me, but that's what everybody seems to think. Everyone's like, oh, it'll be 2026 by the time we get Starfleet Academy. Not official, but every YouTube video I watch about it, subject was like, oh yeah, we won't get that till 2026. Why are they saying that? They're going to start filming it now. So it should be out by the end of 2025. But in any case, if that is true and Academy doesn't come out to 26, then we're getting one fucking Star Trek show next year. One. We're so spoiled now. We're used to like just all Star Trek, Star Trek, Star Trek. Now we're only getting one. And the only reason we're getting that in 2025 is because it got pushed back because of the writer's strike. Otherwise, we would have got it this year. Let's see. Yeah, the Michelle Yeoh. Everything that I have heard is that the Section 31 should be out by the end of this year. I have not heard otherwise, but it could be pushed back into 2025. I mean, that's always a possibility because they haven't made an official release date yet. So if that's the case, we would also get that in 25. But what I've heard so far was that they expect it to be out by the end of 2024. But I suppose we shall see on that one. Remember when a couple years ago we had at least one new episode premiering almost every week? Talk about being spoiled. Yeah, there would be like maybe a 2 to 3 week break in between. But yeah, 2022, I think, was like, several months of consecutive Star Trek with maybe a week or two break in between. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, granted, one of that was Picard season 2, but it was Star Trek. It wasn't all quality Star Trek. Remember when we had 0 Star Trek other than 3 J.J. Abrams movies in 12 years? Great days. We have it better now. Yeah. I mean, I am speaking as someone who's really spoiled now by recent years by having like 3, 4 Star Trek shows in a year. And as Norman pointed out, like a couple years ago, we had like consecutive weeks of nonstop Star Trek with maybe a week or two break in between. So we're spoiled. We're spoiled now. Yeah, 0 Star Trek TV for 12 years. 3 crappy movies, and I mean they're fine. The third one was fine. Yeah, I don't know. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Star Trek is a TV show first and foremost. TV is the format where Star Trek belongs, and that's where it thrives. That's where it should be moving forward. I personally do not care if they never make another Star Trek film again. I personally don't think they should. They will because of dollar signs. uh, but I think the films were good for bringing Star Trek back. Without Star Trek 2, we would not have Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. None of that would have existed. Star Trek 2 brought the films back, or brought Star Trek back into the limelight, and that was important for launching Next Generation and everything else. But this is a controversial statement. No one else really agrees with me on this, but the last good Star Trek movie was Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Everything else from then on has been complete shit, and I include First Contact in there. Don't make me rant on how First Contact is one of the most overrated movies of all time. I made a whole video about it a couple of years ago. It's not a good movie. It's not. It was completely created in a boardroom by people wearing suits who knew nothing about Star Trek, who just wanted to make money. Let's combine the Borg with time travel. Who cares if it makes even the tiniest bit of sense? It makes zero sense. And let's introduce this over-the-top mustache swirly villain, the Borg Queen, that obviously does not exist in the previous Borg episodes and ruins the Borg. What made the Borg so well, I'm ranting about it anyways. I said I wasn't going to, but I am. What made the Borg so creepy was the fact that they were this collective, that there wasn't one leader. And they fucking ruined that with the Borg Queen, and that was First Contact. Terrible movie. They have not made a good Star Trek movie since Undiscovered Country. So no more Star Trek movies. It should be a TV show only. Although I am okay with what they call the long tracks, which is the movies that will be on streaming, will be on Paramount Plus. The first of which will be that Section 31 film, but presumably there will be more of those to come. And I like that because then you could always do spin-off shows off of those movies, or they could be standalone. I like that. Let's see. Norman says, I am gone. Who? LOL. First Contact, mostly good, but it had the Borg Queen. Alice Kree, great actress, but I hate the whole conception of the Borg Queen. No, mostly shitty. Mostly sucky, terrible movie. End of story. Okay. Not even Insurrection. Worf had a space bazooka. I kind of, out of curiosity, want to go back and watch Insurrection again because I don't remember anything about it. I just remember that when I saw it, I was like, like this could have been an episode. Like it was like a mediocre Next Generation episode. Yeah. But maybe one day I'll watch it again. I did rewatch Nemesis a few years ago, leading into Picard, because it seemed like they were going to have B4 on it, and I didn't really remember. It seemed like they were following up on Nemesis a little bit. So when Picard season 1 came out, so I went and did, and I actually made a video about it too, my rewatch of Nemesis, and that movie sucked. But I don't think I've rewatched Insurrection ever. I think I watched it once in the theater when it came out and never watched it again. Maybe one of these days I'll revisit it. Let's see. Picard's love interest. They should have had him Crusher pair up as they started doing season 7. Oh, did he have a love interest in Insurrection? Well, I don't remember that, but I agree with you. It's kind of sort of been leaked that they will be doing a Picard event movie. Patrick Stewart is 83, so whatever. If he wants it, don't really mind. I thought that was a rumor. I don't think that's leaked. I don't think that's confirmed. I think that was a rumor. As far as my understanding of it was, just a rumor. May or may not come true. Yeah, I don't know. I would rather they move on to something different, honestly. I don't know. I've always been a fan of Mark's idea of an anthology series. I don't know if they're going to ever do that, but yeah. But they could kind of do an anthology series with the long tracks. Like if they keep putting out long tracks and they're each about a different thing, that's kind of sort of an anthology series. But in that, I would rather them do new, unique things. Section 31 is the first one. Go ahead and take from a previous series. Go ahead and take Michelle Yeoh. She's an Oscar-winning actress, sure. But from here on out, I would prefer the long tracks to be a unique take on Star Trek. Would be my preference. But as if it was an anthology series. But I don't know. Let's see. Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock and Voyage Home and Undiscovered Country are my favorite original series movies. Cheers to that. Will Ferrell, number one. 100% agree. And those, in fact, in my opinion, the only good Star Trek movies ever made in the history of Star Trek movies. Yes, I said Star Trek 3 is better than all the fucking J.J. Abrams movies by far. Better than all the TNG movies by far. Okay, Whoopi Goldberg let it slip on a show, but yeah, it's fine. It doesn't happen. Whoopi Goldberg doesn't know. She thinks she knows. She doesn't know. I do not like Disco's version of Section 31, though. I'm not excited. Yeah, it's fantastic, but this is what she's likely part of and more. Yeah, I don't know. I can still explain away Disco's version of Section 31 in that it's before Deep Space Nine. Now, you could make the case that the version of Section 31 in Enterprise, which predates that, is more similar to the version in Deep Space Nine. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it was kind of vague, like what Section 31 was in Enterprise. I don't think it's very clear. I think people made assumptions that it was exactly like Deep Space Nine, but I don't know. And even if it was, like, you could have them come out for a period of time and have starships and be more out in the open and then say, no, let's rein it back in. Let's rein it back in. So I never had a huge problem with it. But I also was not excited about Section 31 as a TV show. Because I just not interested in that. I'm not interested in that time period. But the Section 31 the Section 31 movie, because of the time travel aspect of Emperor Giorgio going into the Guardian of Forever, could be taking place anywhere. There's speculation that it will be taking place over different time periods. Either by time travel or by just happening over a period of years. But we do know that a young Catherine Garrett from yesterday's Enterprise will be in it, which places it in that Lost era between the Enterprise A and Enterprise D, where we know very little of it. Like that Enterprise B era, like the Lost era of Star Trek. So we might get some of that era. I don't know if that means that the whole movie is set there, though. Did you like Data's Life Form song? I don't know what that is. And Norman Buckwell, yes. Captain Garrett. Well, let's see. You can't really see. I think about half of this bottle. Well, not quite half because I still have the glass here. Starting to feel a little tipsy. So might have to wrap this up pretty soon. Life forms, you tiny little life forms, you precious little life forms. Where are you? Where is that from? Give me context. Last time I watched the TNG episodes was like 5 years ago. I know I'm not going to remember little details like that. What? Give me context. Oh, Generations. Oh, I don't remember that. Let's see. Section 31. I think of. I'm sorry. Oh, M116. Yeah, I probably should put my glasses on. I have a hard time reading. M116 in my country. Officially, it didn't exist until the 1990s, but everyone knew it existed really for decades. Plausible deniability, it gets the job done. Yeah, but the way it's presented in Deep Space Nine, people didn't know that it existed at all. And then in Discovery, it's like way out in the open. They have their own starships and their own base and everything else, like the complete opposite extreme. Mm-hmm. Do you guys like Italian? Yes. No. Yes. No. I love Italian. And so do you. Yes. Okay. That sounds familiar. Give me the context. It's from one of the movies, right? It was from what? Was that from Generations? Where is that from? That sounds really familiar. Uh, Matty Jester's actually taking it literally. That's a quote from something. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. You got to tell me. I'm in suspense. What is that from? That sounds very, very, very familiar. Was that from Voyage Home? That was from Voyage Home, wasn't it? Yes, I got it just before Will Ferrell #1 revealed the answer. Voyage Home. That was Dr. Gillian or whatever her name was asking Spock and Kirk, "Do you guys like Italian?" And Kirk saying yes, and Spock saying no, yes, yes, no, yes, no, and then Kirk gives Spock a look and he goes, "I love Italian." Yeah, that's a great scene, funny scene. Voyage Home is one of the few times where Star Trek gets humor right. The timing, the comedic timing is good. And that is an example of a scene that where they get the comedic timing right. Star Trek usually fucks up humor. Lower Decks aside, of course. All right, guys. I think it's going to be about time for me to wrap things up here. We're at an hour and 23 minutes. Always love it when I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and then we just end up talking about random things for an hour and 23 minutes. Matty Jester coming back in with a new thing. I read an interview with Sigourney Weaver where she said she didn't like Star Trek 4. Damn, it's better than Alien 4, Sigourney. I never went up to Alien 4. I stopped after Alien 3. Haven't seen a single minute of any Alien movie since then. Don't care. Nor do I really particularly care about Sigourney Weaver's opinion of Star Trek 4. Good for you. You didn't like it. That's great. I don't care. You're a celebrity, so I'm supposed to care about your opinion? I don't. Okay. It is time to wrap things up. I want to thank Norman, Maddie, Will Ferrell, #1. Tyler popped in for a hot second. I'll make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. I think that's who came in today. Thank you so much for joining me. So I said I would do these every 3 months. So looks like September will probably be the next one. So join me then, and please check out all the stuff that I got up. I got my latest Discovery video and how I'd rewrite Discovery. Also, House of Dragons prediction video. If you read the book, you shouldn't watch it if you haven't read the book. And I will be doing House of Dragons end of season review and predictions review. That's probably the next things that I have on my channel. Otherwise, don't got much. 2024 is my year of taking it easy. Lovely seeing you all as well. I'm in France late September, so I may miss it if it's after the 14th. I shall keep that in mind. I don't have a date, so I don't know what date it'll be, but I'll try to remember that. I want Norman to be here. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all really, really soon. Goodbye.